There's a pattern many capable women know intimately, even if we've never named it. We reach the goal, we finish the project, we meet the deadline, we solve the problem. And before the moment even settles, the finish line moves. There's another improvement to make, there's another step to take, there's another standard to meet. What should feel complete starts feeling unfinished almost immediately, not because the accomplishment didn't matter, but because our internal system has learned to move straight past completion into correction. We've discussed in our last conversation about why many high functioning women rarely feel done. Today, I want to take another step further, a little bit beyond that, because for many of us, it's not just that we don't feel done, it's that the goal itself keeps moving. We get there, and then almost instantly there becomes somewhere else. It becomes further down the road. And when that happens often enough, life begins to feel like an endless process of chasing a finish line that never stays still. The moving the goal problem is sneaky. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like reaching a meaningful milestone and then instantly thinking about how could it have been better. It's sometimes looks like finishing something and then immediately shifting into the next thing without even letting that moment register. Sometimes it looks like reaching a goal we cared about and feeling just strangely flat instead of even allowing a moment of satisfaction. The external goal may have been reached, and yet internally the system has already begun scanning again. That looks like, what still needs work, what's next, what should happen now. And even it can even look like, what did I miss? How could this be better? So the finish line gets crossed and then quietly moves. This doesn't usually happen because we're ungrateful, and it doesn't happen because the accomplishment didn't matter. It happens because many of us have trained our systems to prioritize improvement over acknowledgement, to focus on correction over completion. I would even go so far as to say to prioritize next over right now. If our internal rule book says stay responsible and productive and aware and stay ahead, then pausing to celebrate can start to feel unproductive. Acknowledgement can feel indulgent. Even rest can feel premature. And so the system, it does what it knows how to do. It keeps moving. And that movement, and of course, gets praised because it looks efficient and disciplined and even ambitious. And over time, it becomes a part of how we relate to ourselves. But if nothing interrupts that rhythm, then the internal system really never learns how to register completion. It only learns how to continue. So there's a price for this. And the price or the cost of it is often deeper than we realize. Because the goal keeps moving, the accomplishment loses its emotional impact. Our joy gets shortened, the celebration gets reduced or even eliminated altogether. Completion gets replaced with evaluation. And over time, we begin to live in the state of almost there, even after doing a lot and carrying a lot, even after building a lot. Something still feels unfinished. And that feeling can become so familiar that we stop questioning it. We just assume that that's what meaningful life feels like. It always feels like reaching and refining and carrying the next thing. Eventually, that rhythm becomes exhausting. It's tiring. Something else over time really became visible to me. For a long time, that next accomplishment would um, finally create the sense of enough. At least that's what my belief was. And, the next goal, the next level, the next improvement, somewhere on the other side of the next thing, I would finally feel settled. Of course, looking back now, I can see how much my drive came from that belief. Of course, that's why I was driven, because the next thing was where it would finally feel great. And it wasn't just that the work needed to be better. Please, I have to make this clarification. It was that I needed to be better. The system just kept telling me more, bigger, better. And underneath all of it was a deeper assumption that it's just not enough yet. And eventually I realized the story under that one. It wasn't just that the work wasn't enough, it was me. My own sense of enoughness was always just beyond the next achievement. So I kept chasing until life interrupted that pattern. There was a season that I had that really brought clarity. I had worked really hard towards and intentionally towards a really important goal that didn't happen. And not only did it not happen, but the things that I had put into place to make it work started falling apart. And then more things fell apart. And in the midst of all of this, I was devastated and uh, and angry. I was frustrated with the whole process of it. It felt like everything that I had built had stopped. Now, of course, looking back, I can see something very different. It was the first real interruption in the pattern, the first forced stop that had really allowed me to look at what had been driving me for so long and the price that I had been paying for it. I hadn't even recognized it. Because, see, when our sense of enough is always on the other side of the next achievement, then the finish line will always move. So the shift begins when we recognize that the finish line has been moving. That awareness alone really matters, because once we see the pattern, we no longer have to live entirely inside of it. We can pause and we can acknowledge, and we can actually let something count. Not forever, not dramatically, just honestly. This thing happened. This mattered. This is complete. That's a big deal. Many of us have lived for a long time with moving finish lines. We've built good things that way, and we've also paid a price for it. One of the gentlest ways that life begins to feel different is when we stop moving the goal before the moment has had a chance to land. Completion is not weakness. Acknowledgement is not indulgence. And letting something count doesn't make us less capable. It makes life feel more lived. And with this, we can practice living now.